happening, guys? Today is another day on the channel, and today we are in the Miata that gave me the inspiration to get mine back together. So this is one of Shaw's friends' Miata. I don't remember his name, but I'll insert it right here. And this is an original Montego blue Miata with all the Nardi goodies in it. So the Nardi steering wheel, the Nardi shift knob, the Nardi e-brake handle. It's got the two-tone interior, black and tan door panels. He's got some gauges in here. We put gauges in the center console for him. He's got everything. He's got the hard top with all the sticker bombing like Chris does. He's got a roll cage in it for the door bars and the roll cage behind me here. Real bride seats, unlike mine. And yeah, guys, this thing's pretty sick. We got some more stuff to do on my Miata today, so let's go ahead and get at that. So guys, like I just said in the beginning, we're gonna be working on a Miata today. And look who stopped by. He stopped by. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run the O2 sensor. It actually goes on the pin that I thought was for the coolant temp gauge. So that we're gonna have to splice back in and run the O2 sensor all the way down to the bottom. We're gonna run it like on top of the trans and stuff like that and have it go all the way down to the bottom down there. We're gonna do an oil change on it today because I kind of have like some break-in oil that I just had laying around that I just filled up with it, and it's been running fine, but I want to put some actual Rotella 1540 in it, so we're not gonna spin a bearing or anything like that when we're up there in the reds, guys. So we got a little punch list right here. So O2 oil change, O2 sensor, temp sensor the right way, so we're gonna run that the right way. We're gonna try to get a brake line for this thing. The place I was gonna get it, which is Mako Hose right down the street from us, is actually closed on Saturday, and it's actually pretty late in the day already. So we're gonna have to figure out another way how to run that rear brake line. I might try to find a parts car or something that I can just pull it off of. I don't know if they cut that other Miata up already and got rid of that, but we could try to check that out. I want to get an air filter. That's at my house. We might get that later on this afternoon, but let's go ahead and try to start with the first two things, which is the oil change, the temp sensor, and the O2. That's actually three. So let's get those done right now. So when you come down here on your Raceland header, you go ahead and you pop your brand new used OEM sensor in there. Let's hope that this thing will read right, because I'm just going to use an extension wire to run it back up to the top so that it actually reaches. And let's see if this thing works. So let's go ahead and plug it in, butt connector our wire in there, run our wire up to the top, and we should be golden with all the O2 stuff there. And then we can go inside and we can start running that coolant temp sensor wire the right way. And then, hey, you know, maybe our fan will work that way. So maybe that's what our problem was, that the gauge wasn't reading it through the ECU and stuff like that, so that it wasn't turning the fans on. So maybe that'll help us out too. So let's go ahead, finish up this wiring for this O2 sensor, and then we're gonna go ahead and try to wire our temp sensor gauge in the right way. The O2 sensor is all the way down there, plugged in, wired back up here to our butt connector with a red wire there. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna find our coolant sensor gauge, which should be right on this harness here. This is the one for the, oh, right there. That's our wire. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go inside. We're gonna take the cowl piece off. We're gonna take the cluster back out, and we're gonna probe this wire really quick just to make sure that it's the right wire again. And then we're gonna wire this one to the coolant sensor gauge, which was our wire that I ran right through here. It's kind of blurry, but there's this black wire right there. And that wire runs to our coolant sensor. We'll tap this one into there, and then we'll run our gauge back to our gauge cluster there, and then hopefully it'll work the right way and that it'll actually read. Because right now, when I turn the car on, it just goes straight to the middle, and I don't know if it's supposed to do that or what. Definitely isn't, but we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna see what's happening with it. Then we're gonna try to put our fans back in the right way and see if the fans actually turn on. We're going to do the oil change quickly and see what else we could figure out. So let's go ahead and do the coolant sensor gauge now. So as you guys remember from my other video of me trying to figure out the wiring problem with this thing, you put your multimeter on this thing, put it to the waves, which is continuity. You can even put it to ohms, but ohms does something else. It puts a number on there, which we're not trying to use that. We're trying to find continuity. So you put it to your waves, you come inside right here, go back to your cluster. The wire is right here on the back right there, and if you touch it, you can hear it beeping. So that's what we were trying to figure out. So now we're gonna just put the cluster back together with this wire put to there. we're going to do our wiring out in the engine bay and put the butt connector in there and then wire it to our temp sensor on the back, and that should fix our problem for that. So let's go ahead and put some butt connectors in and figure that out now. Now we have our properly ran coolant temp sensor back there, put a zip tie on it. The wire was a little long, which is okay because if I ever need to extend anything, I can already have a little bit of extension back there. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead, drain the oil while I run the AutoZone, and we're gonna change out this STP filter right here for another brand new STP filter. And we're going to put the Rotella 1540 in this bad girl here. And then we're gonna try to figure out what we can do for this back brake line because that's pretty unsafe. And I would like to have the rear brakes actually working now. The front brakes actually, guys, have really worked, sat themselves back in again. They're pretty rusty still, but hey, they're working to what they can. And of course, we're gonna get brakes for this thing. We're gonna get pads, rotors, whole ball of wax, braided brake lines and all that stuff, but that's all just gonna come a little bit later. I kind of just want the car to run and drive and do what it needs to do right now. Give it another little shakedown before we bring it to OSW, but gonna kind of leave the brakes for later so we can do like good brakes, like I said in the other video. So let's go ahead, drain the oil, run the AutoZone, get the Rotella 1540, come back, put that in, get a brake line on this thing, and then maybe me and Heath could take it for some skids, and maybe Heath can do a little burnout with it. How do you think? What do you think about that?
And then spicy air.
Maybe. So Heath's over here, he's trying to get me to put some nitrous on this thing. So maybe after OSW, if I don't like how fast it is and we can actually figure out what we can do with it, then maybe we'll put some spicy air in it and try to get it to like 150 horsepower when it's at like over 75% throttle or over 50% throttle. Yeah?
Spicy air.
Sick. Okay, so me and Heath just ran out to the parts car out in Loxahatchee, and luckily that thing wasn't all cut up yet, so we took the brake line off it. Didn't take us that long. We got a little dirty, so we just got back to the shop, so we cleaned up a little bit. But we had to bend it in certain spots to get it out, but we should be able to put this thing in, and it should work perfectly fine, just like original. May have some kinks in weird spots, but hey, as long as the line's not kinked completely sideways, we should be able to get it in there. My car also doesn't have a lot of stuff on this side where it actually goes down, so we should be able to get it in there pretty easily. I don't know if I'm gonna run it underneath the harness or just put it over the harness and say screw it, but we're gonna try to get this thing into here now and get it in, and so that we can have rear brakes now. So let's try to put this thing in now. Okay, so sorry about this video going up a little bit late. I know I should have started off with that, but we got the rear brake line in, put a zip tie right here to hold the two lines together. It's clipped in on that side. I didn't actually have the rest of the clips for it, but it's all done. Back down through right there. All put up into our bracket pieces underneath right here. It's on the back side right here. So it goes all the way down the back, goes back up underneath in the back, and connects back to the rear brakes. So now what me and Heath are gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and bleed these things real quick and see if they stop the back brakes. Hopefully it does. We'll have to seat the back brakes back in because these things are rusty. So we're gonna have to seat these back in, but it should be good overall. And let's go ahead and bleed the brakes. Okay, so now that we have the tires all off and we have the brake system back together, if you guys don't have one of these, this is a power bleeder that you use a vacuum hose for, or compressed air. So all you do is you pretty much just pull this and it'll pull the fluid through for you. So you just gotta crack open your bleeder and let the fluid flow through while you hold on to that, and then just top off your fluid at the top. If you don't have one of these power bleeders, what you do is you get you and one of your buddies like Heath here, and you go inside and you pump up the brake pedal until it gets stiff. Tell your friend to hold the brake pedal down while you crack open a bleeder, and fluid will pull out. Once their foot goes to the floor, you just tighten it back up and you're gonna be all set. So let's go ahead and do some of this now. Okay, so now that the brakes are bled, we did all four again so that all the fluid got through it. We'll have to top off the brake fluid because it went down. Obviously, if your brake fluid goes down when you're doing it, make sure you top it off, because the last thing you want is your brake fluid to start leaking on you, which it kind of looks like mine is leaking a little bit, but that might have been also heat, might have spilled a little bit, but that's okay. We're gonna put all the brakes, and we should be able to take this thing for a little rip later, but before we do all that, we're gonna drain the oil and we're gonna change the filter like we said. We actually didn't even go to AutoZone yet, so let's go ahead and do that now. Okay, so we're under here, draining out the oil. Got to change the filter, that's up there, and then we're gonna put some Earl back in her, and we should be able to take her for a rip with the good old 1540 in it. Shouldn't have any oiling problems. Got to get the proper oil block off for that right there. That's the dash 10 that I was going to use for the turbo setup, which we still might do that in the future, but not at this point. And then, yeah, let's just finish up with this oil change and then take it for a drive. Okay, so now that we're taking the car out, we put the oil in it, we got the brakes on, we did some stuff to it. What do you think?
I want one.
You want one?
I want one.
Okay, so this is Heath's first time in this thing, so let's go ahead and take her for a little rip. Here you go.
First time in a Miata, regardless.
Oh, gotta let her warm up a little bit before we start doing some stuff.
Before we really start hitting those R's.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cars. Oh, I wasn't. No, I can't. It's too low.
So we went a little too hard trying to give her a little practice skids over there, and we kind of lost a chunk of the brim. So the tire came off. We hit the curb going kind of sideways backwards-ish, so it's not bad. We didn't bend anything, we didn't break anything, so we're good. Tire came off. We just need another rim now, which can get another one. That's not too bad. It does look like the wheel's a little slanty any, but hey, we're pretty good there. So let's go ahead, jack it up, see what happened, and now we need to get another set of rims. Hey man, time for some wheels. Time for some wheels.
Yeah, that's right.
So let's go ahead and jack this up real quick. Okay, and just like that, it's back together. What do you think?
I want one now. We're going on Craigslist.
$3
and
grand.
I'm getting a Miata today. We're going to go pick it up today.
Okay, so this thing's pretty indestructible. Just pumped her back up, and she's back on the road there. Look at that. No bent, nothing or anything. Like this, the wheel still looks straight. I bet you we could still do a burnout and it won't come off.
Let's go try again.
You want to try doing a burnout?
Do it.
We'll do a burnout.
I just want to be able to slant it back.
Okay, a Miata for the win, guys. This thing is still sick, still drifts, still does what it needs to do. I kind of like the white lettering on this back tire. It looks kind of cool, so we might get some tires with some white lettering for the back, so we're spinning them up. It's going good. What do you think? Sounds pretty sick?
I want one so bad.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were so strong.
This thing, good guys. She's ready for OSW. Now we just got to get in some laps of practice, but in some wider front tires, a little bit of steering angle so we can't loop out. But overall though, guys, things meant ready for OSW, and that's about it though, guys. If you guys liked the video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, comment, share, do all the good stuff. Hope to see you guys in the next one. No check engine light because our O2 sensor's in there now. Temp gauge is working right, everything's good. OSW, here we come.